Welcome everyone to Charts Focus 1, where we teach how to work hard and trade smart. In this live stream recap video, I want to go over a MU call swing trade that resulted in 168% plus at market open and other swing trades that we closed and rolled up on. Now in this video, I won't be showing you guys the exact contracts and time of entries and exits as I have done for the entire live stream recap videos thus far. So make sure you guys join the CFO Swing and Watch newsletter to get access to the exclusive CFO Discord. Once you join, you'll be able to see the other trades that we got into today as well. So make sure you check the very first link shown in the description box below. It's very hard to miss, so make sure you guys check the very first link shown in the description box below. Now with that being said, let's go over this triple-digit return overnight swing trade. Now this MU was from this short week's CFO Swing and Watch newsletter. And the number one reason why we are looking at this name is that there's a clear double bottom forming. And I told my CFO Swing and Watch newsletter members from last year that we need to be focusing on the weekly timeframes a lot more. Why? Well, because this year is going to be a year of selecting individual stocks that can provide great returns over time. And so in order to do that, we need to be able to find the broader trends. So we had to broaden our horizons by looking at the broader term perspective and time frames. So that's the reason why we're looking at the weekly time frames for a lot of our A+ technical setups. So MU here was showing a clear double bottom that we just had to take. And guess what? You're not late on this trade yet because we're still on the way to making the right side of the double bottom chart pattern, or you guys can call it a W chart pattern, right? So we have yet to make the final and right side of this W chart pattern. So far on the weekly time frame, last week we held 48.35-ish as a huge level of macro support on the weekly time frame. So I said, look, if we do decide to break above 50.50, then there's a good chance that we can get a nice break to the upside and potentially starting the formation of this last and right side of this double bottom chart pattern. And so if you go back to the daily time frame, we're looking at a very nice consolidation since last week. And as you guys know, the past 2 weeks, including this week, has been very, very short. So we've been seeing very tight consolidation with low volume. And there was a possibility for this name for us to break lower. Why? Because we're potentially looking at a micro bear flag. Okay, so this is our flagpole. And what I just drawn for you guys here is the flag of the bear flag. So if you combine the flagpole plus the flag, you have a bear flag. And that is inherently a bearish chart pattern, hence the name bear flag. So for MU here, we're able to get an entry yesterday near close, right? And the reason for that is that I was wanting to see if we're able to sustain the bounce that we had on the intraday timeframes, as yesterday the market continued to push lower, but this one specifically, this individual semiconductor name, decided to bounce on this ascending support trend line, marking a higher low. And we've been making higher lows, which is a very good sign of an uptrend. And also we've been making higher highs. And that's the reason why we have two ascending trend lines, right? That goes from the bottom left to the top right, bottom left to the top right. And so we're able to grab these contracts at the end of the day, near the end of the day, and we're able to close above the 10 SMA. And if you guys remember from my previous live stream recap videos and also every single video that I've done on this channel so far, my 10 and 21 SMAs is my momentum pair, right? These two SMAs are momentum SMAs. And so if we're able to close above the 10 or the 21, that means the momentum is to the upside. And so we ended up gapping up huge, right, overnight. And at open, our contracts were, moving from 160 to 170%. And I ultimately took profits at 168%, even though I should have kept a runner. Now, obviously, that's a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation, and I can't do anything about that. However, I know there is future opportunity left for this name because, number one, this one still has not hit my profit target of $55. Yes, it's very close, but it's pretty overextended now after that nice overnight gap up and the move that is sustained today as well. So there's relative strength, but it is overextended. So I'm going to wait for a nice slight pullback and maybe 2 to 3 days of consolidation. Okay, so this could go on for into next week as well. And we can see a bigger breakout above 54.50 and eventually a retest of 55, which would also lead us to retest the daily 50 SMA, which is my dark blue line. And if we're able to break above 55 and break above the 50 and hold both of those two things at once, our long-term perspective on this name can change. And so that's the number one reason why I said that we are still not too late on this name, right? If you guys are looking at this name just now through this video, we are not late, right? Especially you. You guys are not late. And MU still has a good possibility of breaking over $55 and continuing to go up to the upside and ultimately hitting my maximum profit target of $60.50. Okay, 60.50 is my maximum profit target for MU, and that should complete the double bottom chart pattern that we've been looking at on the weekly time frame for some time now. So that's it for MU. Again, if you guys want to take a look at the entries and exits and what contracts we used, make sure you guys join the CFO Swing and Watch newsletter. Now, for the other trades, we closed out on this Mara trade that we have been stalking since last week. That's right, we've been looking at this since last week. I sent in an in-depth analysis in the private CFO Discord on why Mara and Riot, the latter being a name that I want to look at for a sympathy move, should have a squeeze-like move. And based on that in-depth analysis for specifically Mara, since I like Mara a lot more than Riot, okay, we entered in Mara call contracts yesterday and added more throughout the day and then swung it overnight. And so I'll give you guys a small hint of where we added, okay, our first entry point and where we continued to add to that principal position. So somewhere around here, okay, you guys can see the exact point of entries and exits in the CFO Discord. And so today, we got a very strong move to the upside and I continued to take off contracts around here, okay, as we slowly, ever so slowly, continue to pump up towards that $4 level. And I expected us to kind of move down from $4, but we continued to pump up with large amount of buying momentum. How do we know this? Because we have these large buying volume bars, right? And they're increasing every single time that this 15-minute candlestick forms. So we saw a lot of momentum coming in, and eventually, okay, I personally ended up taking my runner off for 70% plus. So this is a huge, amazing swing trade, and plus, you guys are still not late on this one as well, all right? Because in the intraday time frame, we're making a nice bull flag, right? We have a nice resistance around 4.30, okay? And we have a nice area of newfound support at $4. And so if we're able to continue to squeeze, since on the daily time frame, we have a huge volume bar on the buy side, okay, we can see another big volume day tomorrow as well with a break over 4.30 and potentially a squeeze to $5. So names like this tends to squeeze and run a lot, especially 2 to 3 trading days. So you guys shouldn't FOMO at all because there will be another trading opportunity for this name. Now, going forward, I suspect that it'll be a lot harder to swing this name since we've had a huge day like today, since we're up, well, we were almost up 25% to close out, but we ended up being 24.12%, which is amazing, right? It's a phenomenal gain for just one trading day. So with Mara here, I expect us to continue up higher. And for Riot as well, right, as a sympathy move. And if you guys want to know the number one reason why I chose Mara instead of Riot is that, well, we have to go back on the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, you can clearly tell that there is some sort of seller exhaustion, right? How do we know this? Well, just take a look at the past 4 weekly candlesticks, not including this week. So as we continue to sell off, right, from the high that we made back in early November, right, around the double-digit numbers, we just continued to sell off, and we barely saw any bounce. And sure, we saw intermittent bounce here, but it was nowhere close to a significant level of support. So as we continue to go lower and continue to sell off with a bunch of sellers coming in, I noticed that the past 3 weeks, we've been seeing a lower volume of sellers, and we've been seeing less bearish weekly candlesticks. How do I know this? Because simply by looking at the range of each candlestick, right? You can clearly tell with your naked eyes that we're looking at smaller candles, right? Compared to these very, very large ones when we were selling off with conviction and with a lot of selling volume. And this told me that there is a potential for us to reverse on this name and potentially a short squeeze because we're seeing this seller exhaustion happening at a very critical level of $3.10, or if you guys want to round down to $3. So this $3 level was very, very critical last week as we bounced away from that level and we closed above it. And so this made me look at this name completely differently compared to Riot, since Riot wasn't really showing that much of a seller exhaustion, right? It seems like there's a lot more bounces along the way to the downside, right? There's a lot more green weekly candlesticks, right, that indicate bounces on each week. So for me, this was kind of a no-no for me for a squeeze-like move. And that's the reason why I said that this name will only be looked upon as a sympathy name that will move the same way once Mara decides to have a short squeeze. And so that's exactly what happened today. And so far on the weekly time frame, if we are able to sustain this bigger move up higher that we got today, we should be able to see a mean reversion back to the 10 SMA on the weekly time frame. And that should be around 5 to 5.50 once we're able to continue this short squeeze to the upside. Okay, so make sure you guys watch Mara and Riot for short squeezes. Okay, so the next trade here that we got in today, closed and then rolled up on, was SOXL. Okay, and this is the leveraged 3 times ETF, or 3 times leveraged ETF. You guys know what I'm saying, for the semiconductor sector. So we have been looking at leveraged 3 times ETFs, or 3 times leveraged ETFs for the past week, okay, or over a week now. And so I'm glad that we've had this plan to look at these names because we had an amazing entry on SOXL yesterday, and we're able to have another great entry on our new rolled up contracts that are now in the money at the time of close. So if you go on the 15-minute time frame again, okay, I'm giving you guys a rough area of where we entered in yesterday, okay, and where we added, and then where we sold, and then where we rolled again, right, into new contracts with longer expiration. So this one clearly still has a lot more movement to the upside. Why? Because we made a very strong level of intraday resistance at 10.20. And so if we're able to break above 10.20, that could be a great entry point for everyone who is not in SOXL. And once you're able to push past yesterday's high of the day of 10.21 and today's high of the day of 10.27, we should be able to come back above to around 10.80, almost to $11. Why? Because the 21 SMA should be retested if we're continuously closing above the daily 10 SMA. And we did that today. So that is what I'm expecting for SOXL, and that's the reason why we rolled up on those contracts at a perfect time and at a perfect entry point. And we also got longer expirations to make sure we're able to allow the stock to have enough time to move back to the 21 SMA and retest it. Again, if you want the exact time of entries and exits given to the members in the CFO Discord, make sure you guys join. All right, so that is it for this video. If you liked what you heard, please leave a thumbs up down below. And if you're new here, check out the description box below for the subscription link to the CFO Swing of Watch newsletter. It's very, very hard to miss, so make sure you guys click on the very first link. And make sure you guys check out the other live stream recap videos to continue your learning in trading. Thank you so much for watching.